Hi, I'm Philip. Welcome to my first devlog. Here I want to document the process of building a visual walkthrough app. This visual walkthrough app should help me to programmatically create screencasts. Screencasts are recordings of a screen, and I often have to record them for my clients. They usually use it in their documentation where they show their customers where they need to click, for example, what city to select for their database and then which button to click. And that process is a bit tedious and error prone. First, I have to use an external software for that. That's not such a big deal, but I have to make sure that it's working. And there were times where I somehow misclicked somewhere and I performed all the walkthrough steps, but then there was no recording, which is annoying. Then I have to do all the walkthrough steps by hand, which means I must remember each step. Since I have to do it by hand, the cursor movement is not steady, especially when I'm using a trackpad for that. I have to go slow and try to not jiggle with the mouse. That's sometimes hard. And if I make a mistake, for example, if I forgot something or if I misclicked somewhere or something unexpected happened, then I have to do the whole thing again. And that's a bit annoying. Sometimes I can continue where I left off, but then I have to make sure that the mouse cursor is exactly where it was to not have some kind of jump in there. So yeah, I want to make my life easier, and that's why I want to create an app that helps me with all of that. So what exactly do I mean when I say programmatically create videos? The app I'm having in mind should have three parts. So the first part is that I want to be able to define steps. So for example, start at a certain position of a website, then scroll with the mouse to the button, click the button, and then when a pop-up is there, move the mouse there, scroll down, select something. The second part is performing these steps. After defining them, then the application should basically move along those steps and do them for me. Instead of me moving the mouse, the application should just follow this recipe and walk through those steps for me. The third part of the application should be basically a recorder. So I want the application to record all those steps while they are performed, and it should be built into the application itself. I don't want to use some external recording software, but the application should also contain this video recorder. Let's dive a bit deeper and look at each part a bit more specifically. The first function I want to have is defining the steps. This probably should be a browser extension. The reason why I want to use a browser extension is because my application needs to work with any website. So I want to kind of click this extension on whatever website I'm on, and then I want to have the whole control over the website. And for stuff like this, a browser extension usually is a good idea because then you have access to all the elements. When I click the extension, then I think it makes sense that there is some kind of little pop-up, and the pop-up probably has a recording button, and once I click the recording button, then my app listens to clicks on the website. So for example, the first click is up there, the second click is here, and then I want to somehow define that there should be a mouse movement. So maybe I can kind of add some meta information to it. Then I want to say something like scroll down, and all of this should be in the website where I am with some overlay, but I still want to interact with the website. That's a bit challenging, but that's the idea I'm having. So that's the defining step part. The second part then is performing those steps. This needs to be some kind of player. Probably this will be something built with JavaScript, which probably will be the same technology as a browser extension, and maybe it is even the same browser extension. So maybe with the recording button, I also want to have a play button there in order to have the application perform those steps that I defined to see if everything is working as I want it to be. for example, when I started on the website on a certain position and then move the mouse to a button, click the button, scroll down, and so on, then these steps that I defined before should be done by the application automatically. And so basically in this view, it's me looking at it and controlling if everything looks good. Maybe I have to adjust some timing and say like, okay, so this part here needs a bit more time and this part here could be like a little bit slower. So to have my human interaction with it, so it's not completely automatic and robotic, but that I can add a little bit of spice here and there. So that's the second part with performing the steps. And then the third part is recording all of this. The step before probably should give me some kind of data file. Maybe that's a JSON file or something like that. And when I record the video, then my application takes this JSON file and creates a video out of that. How I'm doing this exactly, I don't know yet. It needs to be some kind of recorder, and I'm probably using Python for that. More specifically, I'm probably using Playwright, which is a testing framework where you can give instructions. The idea is that Playwright performs steps on a website and it can also create videos. So that's pretty cool. So I can basically use this JSON, create instructions for Playwright, and then hopefully everything works so well that I can create a video file out of it. Yeah, and that's basically the three parts that I'm currently having in mind for my application. So that's the idea I'm having in my head. Here on my YouTube channel, I will document the realization of it. And I would be super happy if you join me. Next time we'll probably start with the browser extension. So we'll find out how to interact with the website, how to build a browser extension to define the steps for the visual walkthrough app. So see you next time.